I kind of want to step out and say, okay, so today we're focusing on the profit and loss and the personal budget. So I'm really going to start at the very beginning on these forms so that everyone can understand the flow and how they work. So we're going to start with the profit and loss, which is where we should start. So just to clarify with everyone, so you know, well, in case it's recorded and you listen to it later, right now it's towards the end of January. Okay. So when you do your next set of forms, beginning of February, you're going to be working on your January profit and loss and your February personal budget. But if you look up on the screen, we're going to ignore that. If you look up on the screen, you're going to see it says December, and it should say 2024, December profit and loss. I'll fix it while we're talking. And the January personal budget. And that is on purpose because the way money is supposed to flow, you are going to, so let's pretend it's the month of December, all of the commissions, any money that you make in your business, which is a separate account, goes into that business account. So all the closings for the month are going to go into your business account. That's your revenue, right? And then you're going to pay through your expenses, right? You're going to pay all those bills. You're going to pay your salaries. You're going to pay everything you need to pay. And then at the end of the month, and we're going to go through this, you end up with taxable income. That's after you pay your taxes, taxable income. So that is what you're going to take home. So we're going to go backwards and just kind of come out of this form. So to me, you guys really, for both your business and your home, but let's stick in your business, you have to have total clarity of all of your expenses, recurring expenses, as well as different expenses throughout the year. So you're running your business. So I will tell you, like, I'm still old school. I mean, I do everything online too, but like at the end of every year, so at the end of December, so in December of 2024, I recapped through all of my expenses and checked on them. So I looked at my phone bills, gas, restaurants, all, you know, my website, Apple, Jasper AI, all of my recurring expenses. I looked at insurance. I looked at salaries. I looked at bookkeeping. I looked at everything and said, okay, this is what it costs me to run my business every month. Now, we all know there are some expenses that aren't fixed. So like if I pay $700, we'll call it for a photo package. If I have no listings, 0 photo packages. If I list 3 houses, there's $2,100. So there are, of course, some expenses, and you're going to have more printing on the months that you have more flyers, right? So some of those won't be fixed, but my phone bill doesn't change much. I have a budget for what I want to spend for restaurants and clients. My printing and farming stays pretty stable. Office supplies, right? Jasper AI, my dues, all my websites, those are the same every month. So we're going to look at that, but I can tell you, without my salary, it cost me $15,652 a month to run my business. I know this because I have calculated all of my expenses. Now, as you know, again, some months more listings, higher expenses, some months fewer listings. And then I also can tell you what months my big chunks of money come out, right? So in our area in October, our dues are due. So though it's a heavy expense month, so I have to pay all the dues. I can tell you when my website renews, DocuSign. So you're going to be able to really be clear on your expenses. Okay. So saying that, we're going to look at the profit and loss, which you guys can see, except Steve shouldn't look right now because he's driving. If you look at this, I'm going to walk you through this, but it's up on your screen. So this is also being recorded. But on the profit and loss. So we're not going to worry about the prior month screen on this one right now. I just filled one in to go through numbers with you guys. So we're going to look at the current month, and at the top is revenue. So good. Revenue's good, right? We want revenue. So I made up these numbers just so you know, so we could go through a profit and loss together. So in here, I put personal revenue. So commission revenue after split, that's the money that comes into the team of $25,000. And just so you guys can see, if you have buyer's agents, right, and you get splits off your buyer's agents, there's a line here so you can show their revenue. And then I put other revenue. I added a referral fee of $2,500 because everyone always asks me what goes there. So a referral fee can go there, title company, if you're getting any other money that's not through your sales, your personal sales. So you can see on this form, total revenue here is $27,500. Okay, now we have our expenses. And I just, like I said, I put some in, but you will see advertising, brochures, CRM, Dropbox, dues, all of these that are in the black font are already pre-filled in on this form. So I filled in printing, farming, photos, as if I had 2 listings that month, website, office supplies. Now I wrote in follow up boss and Jasper AI. That's why they're in red. So the whole point of the blank spaces is when you have other expenses, additional websites, QuickBooks, whatever it is, recurring expenses, you can fill them in here. You can also, of course, subtract some out. So the form is editable. But I filled it in. So on this month for recurring expenses on this form, there's $2,922. Okay, that's the expenses I have. Then you have wage expenses. So I actually have a Melinda. Melinda does my accounting. It's $450. My brother is $4,500 a month. Health insurance is $2,500 a month. Salary I filled in is $4,000. That would be my salary paid to me. So if you collect a salary, that is where your salary goes. If you do not, now salary isn't, I decided to pay myself a salary this month. A salary should be a repetitive salary that you and your accountant work out that you're going to collect a salary so taxes can be taken out. Again, I'm an S corporation. You guys may be all different, but a salary isn't, I just paid myself a salary this month. That would be more of a draw to me, but I'm showing you that. So you see the subtotal here. And then there's other miscellaneous expenses. Coaching, bomb videos, accounting, listing expenses, whatever they may be, whatever miscellaneous expenses, not necessarily monthly, but you could also use it as overflow from your recurring. And then you have personal expenses. So personal are expenses that you run through the team for yourself. So let's be clear. Again, we're talking about a personal budget. This is your business account. This is money coming from your business, not home. Your profit and loss is work. So you should have a separate account with this money. You have a separate checking account, separate savings account or tax account. Your commissions go into that account. All money for work goes through there. So if I do pay my cell phone through the business, we have restaurants, so food for the business, right? So those are there. Do not put your car or car payment on here if you pay for your car at home. If you run your car through your business, it would be on this form. So I just need you guys to be really clear. Work and business, business account. Anything you pay for it out of at home goes on the personal budget. That's different accounts, different check cards, everything. It's different money. So then the subtotal of expenses for this month on here is $16,522. Okay. Then you look, the nice thing is the math's done for you on the form. Then you have a total gross income. Then it takes out 30% for taxes, which we should all do too, right? Because we got to pay the IRS. I promise they'll find you. Then you're going to see taxable income. The taxable income here is $7,684.60. Okay. Quiz time. Someone can answer. What, I mean, if you're looking at the screen, I've already answered it for you. What are you taking home to pay your bills? What's the number that's coming home on this form? What do you get to take home? Anyone want to tell me? Nobody?
Is it 7,084 number?
Okay, hold on. So I heard 2 people. So do it again.
I said the 7,684 number.
That is correct. But then did someone have a question?
I just wanted to know if it's super blurry on everyone else's end or if it's my connection to the internet.
Okay. I see it super clear, but it's on my computer, so I don't know.
It was for me for a minute.
It's blurry
just
for
cleared
me
up just a
too.
moment ago.
It's clear now. It was blurry.
It's clear now. It was blurry for like the last 3 minutes. So
Okay, I haven't moved. Sorry. So
Hey Marge, do you want to take the little we can see the part of your screen that shows people's faces. Do you want to just move that to the side so that we see more of the form?
I can. Okay, so just make sure if you ask a question, I can't see any of you guys. So if you ask a question, you'll have to just speak up because now I've got only those forms. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. So the answer is correct. The taxable income of 7,684.60. However, note above, I also mentioned we took a salary, right? So of this expenses, let's be clear, the taxable income is 7,684.60, but there's also a salary that's being paid. I take a salary home, right? Up here is 4,000. So I want you to now look. So we've paid our bills for the month of December at work. We've gotten our commissions in. We've left our money in for our taxes. I prefer a second account, like a savings account, because if you just leave it in your business account, you will spend it. So we have our business checking. I call it a business savings, where we can use a tax float, whatever you want to call it. That money comes, and then you're going to take home. So if you look at the next form, which is the personal budget, column 5 on a personal budget is where we take our money home. So if you look here, I have a $1,500 payment for rent. I have a rental, so I brought $1,500 in. 4,000, remember, looking back at the profit and loss, was the salary money. And then the 7,684, I left the 60 cents, but the 7,864, sorry, I did the numbers wrong because I was doing this really quick before the form, but hold on. The 7,684, that's what came home because I ran it through my business. Okay. I can't see you because I made the forms bigger. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to say no because I can't see you guys. So right now in column 5, which is where any money you bring home goes in column 5. So any rents, any dividends, salaries, spouse's income, if you're sharing a form. And if you're married, most of the time people will run one form. I do have people that the husband pays part of the expenses, his money goes in his account, the wife pays part of theirs, that's fine. But in this case, if you had another income, it would go here. Any money that comes in for that month to pay, okay, goes in 5. Now we're going to move to column 1 and 2 because this seems to confuse people too. Column 2 is minimum owed monthly for your bills. So I filled in some numbers here. Please don't worry about if the math is correct. Like I just added some numbers. So if I have a house, right? So if I own my home, then I have the balance of what I owe. So 180,000 is in theory what I owe on my house in this case, and my minimum monthly payment on my mortgage is $2,500. Here in this case, this fictional case, someone has a car, they have a $35,000 balance. That's what they owe, and their minimum payment is $650. So this scenario, there are no student loans, but this person has some credit card debt. So what we've done is we have a Visa that has a $10,000 balance, right? That's what they owe. The minimum payment we're saying is $300. We have a MasterCard, $5,000 balance. I made the minimum payment $150. We're realtors, so we owe the IRS. I'm just assuming it. So I put $500 that we have to pay there. Now, these are kind of recurring bills, but so are the bills below. Now, people also get confused here when it's time to fill in this form. I think a lot of people get very used to like dollars and cents accounting of at the end of the month, this is what we spent. That is not how this form works. This form works for us and you to work off a budget, but for me to really see how your money's flowing and what you're spending so I can help you figure out we've got to really dial in expenses. So what I do, and I've done every year, is my average electric, this person's, but average electric bill is $150 a month. Average gas bill is $100 a month. Cell phone is $100 a month. Cable is $125, right? These are average bills that go here that we're putting in column 2. Insurance, $350 a month. Trash of $45, internet of $100. Now, gas and groceries are where people get really lost because it's now, let's say in theory, the beginning of the month, and I have to turn this form in, and people say to me, well, I haven't gotten gas. I haven't bought all my groceries for the month. That's why you do a budget. And so ultimately I'm able to tell you our groceries are about $2,000 a month based on, I can look at month per month, year over year, what we're spending. So my column 2 for groceries would say $2,000 and gas is about $500. So those are averages because we can't really go, you're not going to do it at the end of the month and look at exactly what you spent. But what people say is, well, what happens if I put 500 and I realize after 3 months, my average is 800? Well, then change it to 800 or see if you can spend less, right? Same with groceries. If you say 1,500 is about the average, but every month you're spending 2,500, you have 2 choices. We're going to up the budget if you make enough money, or you're going to have to get on a budget and spend less. Okay. Notice there's other lines here that are blanks. So those can be for anything else, any other bills. If you're paying for school, if you're paying for anything else, you're able to use these. Then there's spending money. Now, this is where I kind of want to see you guys for a second. This is where I want you guys to be clear. Okay. Spending money is a lump, right? And I will get people's budgets and it's like $3,800. No, you do not get to just spend that kind of money and not account for it. So spending money, what we've always said, now I'll go down because I wanted to make this point. I won't look at you. If for each one of you, you should be able to account for, let's say, $250 of spending money a month that you don't have to tell anyone what it's for. Okay, so I've got 500 here, assuming 2 people. So that means if you want to, I don't care if you buy lottery tickets, gum, a Starbucks every day, it doesn't matter. That's your money to do what you want with. But once you have that, so it's almost like you took out $250 at the beginning of the month and you put it in your pocket and you said, I'm going to just, this is my money to spend on whatever. But it is not thousands of dollars. Once you both are over this 250, you need to allocate it. So if that means it's you spend $300 on massages, one should be massages. I have people that have a category that's wine. They spend, they spend enough on wine, right? And so we've got to separate that out, because anytime you have massive chunks of miscellaneous, it's very hard to stay on a budget or understand where you can save money. I mean, I'm hoping that makes sense. But here, I'm allowing $500 for 2 people to not have to tell me where their money's going, or each other. And again, that doesn't mean go out and do stupid stuff, but it does mean if you want to buy a lottery ticket every day, you've got your $250 to do what you want. Giving, I don't usually, unless you do a set giving number here. Like if some people say I donate $1,000 a month, then I would go ahead and put it in column 2, which is your survival number or minimum owed monthly. Otherwise, I would, and I'm going to teach you how to do this. If I decided to give 1,000 this month, I would put it in the next column, and we're going to go over that. Then you have savings, because we need to do that, right? IRA, money market, 401k. So I'm going to pretend in this one that this person automatically transfers $2,000 a month to their retirement. They've got an auto debit. They put $2,000 because they want to save $2,000 a month. Okay. So I want to make sure that is allocated here. But if you're not doing it regularly, in every month, we wouldn't necessarily put it in this first column. So if you look at this person's budget, their survival number, or what they need to make to pay the basic bills, right? The basic bills being the minimums on the credit cards, unless you know something I don't, you've got to pay your car payment, your mortgage, and your basic bills. You got to get groceries and everything else. Now, again, we've now added this $2,000 in, but otherwise, so $9,720 is what this person has to make at home or bring home to pay their bills. That's the basic expenses. Okay. Now, again, in filling out this form, I think where people get confused. So how I really do it, and I'm pretty sure Jimmy does it, and Robin does it, and everyone else, we will sit there at the beginning of the month and we'll have our stack of bills, right? So I will have my stack of bills that I owe. So I'm still getting paper, MasterCard, Visa, let's say my electric bill, my cell phone bill, my cable bill, my trash bill. If you're getting them electronically, use your same vision. So if you're like, I don't get paper bills anymore, they come in my email. Okay, same thing. But you have those bills. Now you'll also have additional bills you owe for that month, right? You will have, if you have a doctor bill, if you have a dental bill, if you have any additional insurance bill, that's where you will fill in another category here, right? So let's pretend it's January 5th, and this is my budget. Okay. And I'm going to pay my bills now. So I don't care if you're writing checks old school. I don't care if you're going online, and I do both. So anything I can pay auto, I go on my bank account and I start filling it in, or I'll write checks if it's random, or I'll go online and pay. I don't care how you do it, but you're going to pay your bills one time. That is our ultimate goal. So now we're going to sit here and we're going to pay our bills. So I'm going to walk you through it. So we're going to pretend we're sitting on our couch, got our computer in front of us. Here comes the bills. So I'm going to pay the house payment of $2,500. I'm going to pay the car payment of $650, right? I'm going to pay the minimum payment. I'm going to keep this easy this time. I'll teach you more as we go further. I'm going to pay the credit card. I'm going to pay this credit card. I'm going to pay the IRS. It hurts me, but I should have planned better. I'm going to pay now I'm going to change this a little bit. So this month, my electric bill is 180. It's a little higher because, by the way, it's 9 degrees. So I'm going to pay the 180 bill. Let's say my gas bill is 125, right? Because we have budgets. My cell phone came right in. Cable 125. So I'm literally filling this in. So what I'm doing with you, when I'm paying each bill, this is what I do. I go into online banking. I say, okay, I'm going to pay this bill, and I'm filling out this form. Okay. So I pay my insurance. There's the 350. I pay the trash. I'm going through paying all these bills. Now, some people say, what if my bill isn't due till later in the month? Okay, you set it how you want, but you're paying them at once. So if they leave the account at different times, that's your business for when they're due, but we're sitting down one time. We're not going in and paying one bill, logging in next week, paying another bill. We're paying them all at the same time. So I'm paying the internet. Here's where people get confused again, right? Hey, Marjorie, it's the 4th. I know I have a budget, but how am I supposed to allocate gas and groceries? Because I work off a budget. So right now, I'm acting like I have an envelope of money, right? I'm taking some cash out and I have an envelope of 500 in for gas, 500 in for 1,500 for groceries, and I'm allowed to spend that much money, right? That is what the budget is. Now, again, for those of you, like I got Mitch, I don't know if Mitch is here because I had to minimize you, but I got Mitch who dollar cost accounts to the penny. And so this makes his skin crawl having to do a budget like this, but I have to collect this form from you and see how where your money's going. So again, yes, you might ultimately have, you spend a little less, a little more. This isn't perfect, but now let's say, because I'm paying my bills right now, I have to pay the dentist, right? I got a dental bill and I got to pay it, and it's $400. So I'm going to pay my dentist bill, whatever it may be, right? Any additional bills. So now let's say the car insurance is due. And this is, and I don't pay it every month, but whoopsie, it's January and there's $600 for car insurance. So again, paying the bills, right? I'm going to allocate my $500 of whatever I want to spend to my husband and I. Okay, now I'm also going to go ahead and know that the 2,000, because I've decided this right now, 2,000 is going the money market on the 5th. I'm making that up. So that's coming out of the account. Okay. So as you can see now, oh, I also, by the way, yes, it allocated properly here in savings. Now, here's another thing that everyone seems to get confused about. So let's make this clear. When you run this budget, so I'm going to scroll up and then down. Column 5, which is the money coming in, and column 3, which is the month total paid, has to match. So right now, I have spent $10,775, but I have brought in $13,184. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with that money. So I can do a couple of different things. I don't want to get this complicated, but I'm going to do so. If it's 13,184 minus 10,775, that difference is $2,409. So now I'm sitting here and going, okay, I can add, let's say I want to put another 1,000. I decided, oh, good month. I'm going to save a little more money, right? I'm going to put 1,000 into savings. So I'm going to put the $1,000 there that I want to save. Now I've got another $1,400. You know what? I'm going to go ahead, because I know I have a little extra money. I want to pay off this credit card sooner. I'm going to pay $1,300, which, by the way, in pretty much means I saved 1,000. Just so you know, like we consider that savings as paying off debt. Now that money's not going into that account, but I'm dropping my debt load. Now I'm close. I have 13,184 left. Now, what everyone will argue with me now is, well, wait, you don't want to have no money in your account. I know, I agree. I hear you. You're going to leave some money in your account. But we have to zero kind of cost. So I could just say savings if I want to do that, right? And I could save 409, move it over to my savings account to pay bills later. Okay. Now column 3 and 5 match. That means the money that I have brought in is now also spent or saved. Okay. And if you look at the bottom, here's things that you need to pay attention to. So because my survival number is 9,720, right? My money market float, what I want to work on savings is 3 times that number. So ultimately, in a perfect world, if I'm running 9,720 a month in expenses, I want to have in my home savings. So like I have a home checking and savings, can call it a float, whatever you want. This 29,000. Why? Because when I have a bad month, if I have a P&L that doesn't allow me to bring enough money home, I want to be able to pull from this float right here, the float money. I want to be able to pull some into my account to pay my bills, right? So ultimately, so let's say it is one of those months, right? And we go back up here and I have rent and I have salary, but I don't have enough in commissions. I had a bad month and I know I need to pay this 9,000 in bills. Well, I could pull, let's say 6,000 or 7,000 out of this float and bring it here to help me pay my bills. Okay. Now you'll note I saved $4,409 this month because of my money market, my 401k, and my savings. So I'm indicating that right here. The bottom of the form is for you to track the money that you have. So you have cash net worth and total net worth. Your cash net worth, right, should make sense, is going to be anything like your 401k, your mutual funds, your stock balance. I'm going to add like right now, so let's say I have 10,000 in that money market. So because I would have saved some money, I need to get to 29, but I have 10. That shows cash liquidity. Now I can't necessarily empty my 401k or my stocks or my mutual funds, but it is money. The money market I could liquefy, which is why I want to have it. So it shows I have cash net worth of 310, right? However, I also have some equity in my home. I have equity in that rental, right? So I have a total net worth of 660,000. This is tracking your net worth, right? So we want to kind of see, obviously the goal is for that to grow a little bit. You find it on your statements. So if you get quarterly statements every quarter, you can go in and update these balances. You'll know, your home, your value in your home went up or whatever. I change mine every 6 months or so. And then as you're giving, right? So again, giving was another option here. You want to make sure you're tracking your giving because we all want to give financially as well as our time, right? Like that is a goal. We want to give back, right, to things we believe in. So I'm going to pop back up because the screens are a little less important right now than me being able to see you guys. But does this help you clarify that again, right now it's January. So any closings I have, I want to be depositing those commissions into my business account. So once we can get this worked out, for those of you that haven't been doing this, the problem is a commission will come in, you're like, oh, I need that. Like, I need that, right? I need to pay my bills. So I'm just going to deposit into my home account. Don't do that. Because that's why you're not saving for taxes. And that's why it's like, oh, I need to figure out how to move my money. So I need you guys to really adopt and the soonest you can. Look, at this point, if this is not how it's running, which it probably isn't, here's where I want you to start. I want you to make sure you have a business checking account with a check card and checks. I still will write checks rarely, but I'll still write checks. I'd like a business checking with a debit card, and I would like a business credit card, right? That is on the business side. At home, I would like a personal checking debit account, a savings account or two. Like I think you could have a float account and a tax account. Let's not get confusing, or one savings account. We've got to really keep our money separate. Okay. Money comes in from, so I'm the Marjorie Adam team. When that money comes in, it always goes into my corporation. You guys might just have an account. That's fine. Every time I get paid, it goes into the business account. The bills get paid, money comes home. So that's what we have to start really paying attention to if you guys have not been doing that. And then as we're able to start flowing money properly, we will be able to leave the money in, bring it home. Now, again, if you noticed on the personal budget, there was 3 months of a survival float. In a perfect world, I want you guys to have that also right at home. I would like you to have a float account at home and at work. Sorry. I want you to have one at work. Now, if we can get 3 months. So if you look here, if my total expenses, so if we go back to the profit and loss, that this person's was 16,522, mine's like 15,600. So I really, in a perfect world, I'm going to have about 45,000 in a business savings account. So when I don't have commissions come in, right? If I have a 0 month or a bad month, I'm able to draw from that account instead of charging up credit cards, right? Instead of going, how am I going to pay the bill this month? So if we can have 3 months at home and 3 months at work, that's pretty great, right? So that you know you have that security. Okay. So I'm going to see, I think there was something in the chat. Net income. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, that was a question from earlier. All right. So now I coach a lot of you guys, right? And I also see a lot of these forms. So I know a lot of people have questions about this. So does this help make more sense out of this process? Or what are the things that are still confusing to you guys?
I have a question, Marjorie.
Yeah.
So I think what is hard about this, if you do all this, like at the beginning of the month, when do you have a chance to actually reconcile if you've spent more, you know, like if.
Yep, that's good. So you're going to, the accounting for your business, right? You notice, like, again, this form is a month behind. So in other words, when you guys start February 2nd or whatever your time is that you're going to work these forms, I always do it the second third of the month. You're going to be completing the January profit and loss. So that accounting is exact. You're going to be then starting the February budget to pay your February bills. Here's what I'll tell you. For this form that you turn in to me, you're not going to, I'm not going to get edited, but there doesn't mean that at the end of the month, you can't, print it out or do whatever you want and say, oh, this is wrong. We spend way much more on gas. We've got to edit this budget. Or you got to sit down with your spouse, significant other, friend, whatever, and say, yo, we've got to really watch our spending. We're spending way too much on restaurants. So you know what? This month we can only go out 4 times, so we could spend $500, and you'll adjust forward. Again, this budget is really for me. It's for you too, but it's not a cost accounting budget. It's for me to go, hey, Carol, I'm a little confused, right? If you're bringing home 20,000 every month, where'd all the money go? Right. And by the way, we can't have your, spending money of $3,000 and, and then people love the miscellaneous category. And miscellaneous, I'm like, oh, let's get specific because I can't help you with the budget. Right. So you guys, that's why to me, most people's checking accounts, by the way, especially at home, like I can go into my Bank of America account and it's sometimes I don't love it, but it's got the circle and says you spend, if you categorize all your expenses, it'll tell me every month I spend 5,000 on home, let's say, and it'll say you're off, you're under, you're over. And I'm able to say what's going on. Oh yeah, we had this repair this month. So you should be able to see that you're like, I'm fairly consistent on almost everything. Again, like sometimes I have gas at home, gas, heat, and then air conditioner. So that flips, right? Air conditioner months, that bill's much higher. Winter, my gas bill's much higher. So there's certain things you just get used to. But you guys should, again, if you think about it, hey, we get to spend $1,000 on groceries. It's almost like you got $1,000 in an old school like pouch on your desk, right? And you're going, oh, we spent this. So if you're going to really be paying attention to your money, like you should be able to go in, it's the 23rd. I could go into my bank account right now and go, where are we on groceries? Ooh, well, or we've spent our restaurant budget this month. It's KFC for you, my friend, right? Like that's where we're paying attention to those things. So I think being proactive and paying attention, because you can log in anytime and then we'll adjust accordingly.
Sure. And I guess for the sake of coaching, do you ever see the end of the month, what was actually spent, or you see
No, I mean, you could of course send it, but here's the thing to me, once you get into this routine, like I said, for me, the main bills that are due that month, like I know, the big insurance bill came in, a doctor bill came in, a lot of those expenses. But for example, if I blow a tire, let's knock on wood, because my tires are very expensive. Like I spent $2,000 on tires because you can't just fix one. That isn't a planned expense, right? Now, if I put it on a credit card, I'm paying that off next month. So I'm not always going to know those things, except that's why I want the balances, right? I told you guys I want your balances, because if you have balances here on your credit cards and you have a $10,000 balance on your Visa, 5,000 and 20,000, and next month there's a $10,000 balance, you're going to be like, ooh, we had this expense or this expense, we had a medical expense or whatever it is. And I know, okay, we got to be really chunking that down. So again, now for just so you guys know, not to complicate things, I run an actual cost accounting one for my taxes. So I have the, well, my P&L is almost the same, but I do use QuickBooks. Now for next level and for turning in my homework, I'm using our forms, but I do use QuickBooks for actual accrual accounting because I have to turn that in to my accountant for my taxes, right? She wants to know exact numbers. This is a snapshot that you guys are working on. Now you can, by the way, it doesn't mean you personally, and you should, because remember, these are your numbers, doesn't mean that you shouldn't at the end of the month go back through and say, ooh, this was off. I need to talk to, again, my spouse about it. Or I'm realizing I've really underestimated my gas, my restaurants, my whatever, my groceries. And then you got to talk about it. Are we upping that number or are we going to put you on a budget? Because when you're spending money, if you go to the grocery store every time it's $500 and you go 4 times a month, you know what I mean? Like you're paying attention. So it's really to get you to pay attention to your spending. And I think a big stressor that I want to put on these forms too is when you say you're doing something, I want you to do it. So in other words, on the profit and loss, when it says at the bottom, income tax 30%, $3,293, I want you taking as close to that as possible or that number and moving it into your tax float account. And when at home, so the problem is at home. So if I go back here, it says the 2,000 is going into your money market. I want 2,000 to go in your money market. This is not this is money moving. I can only see a document, but you should really take that 2,000 and put it in a money market. If it says 1,000 to your 401k, I want you to put 1,000 in your 401k. 409 for savings, you can slide over to savings, like I have my checking and savings so that I can move money anytime I want between the two if I need to. But this isn't like, because I'll talk to people and I'm like, oh, good, you put 5,000 in your 401k. They're like, no. When you say on the form, do the action, right? Like if you tell me you're going to pay 1,000 off on your credit card, pay it. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I can't tell you how many people where I will go, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You have 100,000 in your 401k. And they're like, no, I don't. I'm like, okay, when we say we're paying something, pay it. When we say we're saving money, move it. When we say we're putting money in a tax account, do it. Right? It's not this form just to show me something. I'm not the one ultimately living with you, right? Like I'm not the one. I can hold you accountable. I can help you. I can say, girl, what are you doing? And we can look, right? There are times, frankly, that when you're spending more than you're making, you may not get your hair done and you're not going to go to restaurants and you ain't going to go and buy expensive this and that. And closed budget goes to nothing, right? Like we have to pay attention. Because most of us, it's like, where'd the money go? I made this much money. I don't know where it is. Well, this is why, right? So this is what we're paying attention to. This is a higher level of accountability for most of you than you had no matter what. Now, in theory, you're all paying your bills, right? Like you're all paying your mortgage and your cars and your electric bill and everything, but almost none of you are able to tell me, like if I asked you all right now, what's your average expenses for your business every month? Right? Until someone fills one of these out, I'm like, they'll be like $2,000. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, so you don't have a website? Oh yeah. You don't pay for photos? Oh yeah, I do. You don't have dues? Oh sure, I do. You don't have health insurance? Yep. So it's like, when we make you fill the form out, when we make you pay attention to the expenses, and it's either you're going to feel really good about it or it's going to hurt. And if it hurts, we got to do something. We got to make a change. Right? That's how it works. What else do you guys want to know?
I feel like I should know this, but what's money market?
So hold on, let me go back. So money market can be anywhere. So for example, mutual funds, stocks, money market, anywhere you're putting your money to work for you. So like IRA SEP, some of you guys can have, I can't as an S corporation, but my SEP, when I had one, is different than my 401k, which I can get through work. So you're going to be putting your money wherever it is, stocks, money market, bonds, wherever it may be. Right. So to me, it's where the money is going. Does that make, do you know what I mean? So if you don't know, you probably aren't putting your money in it. Like you're either sending it to just a savings account, which is fine, but we obviously don't want massive amount of money in a savings account that aren't working for you. We want you to make money on your money, which is why a 401k, which is why putting in the stock market. Do each of you guys have a financial advisor? Okay, see 2 yeses. Carol, no. Ruthie, what about you? No.
No.
Jonathan, I can't see you, but do you have a financial advisor or Freddie? Right, they're maybe not going to talk. Okay, I want you to have one. So you guys are business owners. I don't care if you have a baby business or a massive business and you have 50 employees or it's just you. We've got to know, because nothing is worse. I will tell you, I had 2 great advisors, not good. I had an accountant and I had a financial planner, and they had me in a SEP, and I was an S corporation. And during COVID, IRS came after me. Now, I didn't do anything wrong because I just followed their advice, and it was a disaster because you're not allowed to have a SEP, right? Well, they told me to do it. They took my money. I got in trouble. So here's what I'm telling you. You need to sit down. You should have an accountant and a financial advisor. I get it. We all are like, oh, I can do, whatever it is online. I can pay my taxes and pay $50. No, because you need to find out, can you have a 401k? Can you have a SEP? How much can you contribute? What's the max you can contribute? Where should you run your health insurance? How should you run your business? Should you be an LLC? Should you be an S corporation? Should you be an individual? Because you can pay yourself differently. I'm not about to guide you. You're not going to get that from me. So if you're my student, that's awesome. You're going to get a financial advisor and an accountant, because first, we're all in different states. Second, in the best of all terms, like I said, I had 2 people I paid a lot of money to, and I got in massive trouble because I had things that seemed like they made sense to me, but they didn't, because they weren't set up properly. So you've got to do it, right? Like, this is how this works. So you follow their advice. They can tell you, by the way, people call me and say, should I have a salary? I don't know. Like, I don't know how you pay your taxes. I have no idea how you're set up. I have no idea if it's going to be a benefit for you. I don't know if it's something they want you to do. And if you have a salary, you can do different things too. So you guys are business people. You are business women. Now, there's men on here too, but I can only see the ladies. So you've got to have people that are telling you the best way to set yourself up. And by the way, how much you should save, how much it's going to be in 7 years and 14 years, right? You've got to look at this, because I don't know you guys look like you're about 15, but I ain't going to be 95 years old, right, with a bow in my hair going, I hope I have a house, right? That's just not how I want to roll. So if you don't have someone saying, hey, you're not putting enough away, or you're not maximizing this, that's a mistake, right? And, look, there's many years I was like, I don't want to think about money. I don't want to talk about money. I don't have enough money, right? Like, I just want to make it through the month. That is not how we roll. That is not what we're going to do. We are not going to work our butts off for however many years. I'm 29 years in and I'm not done. I ain't going to do this and then find out, oh my gosh, right? I messed this up, or whatever it may be. So I need you to get people. So you ask your business partners, if you don't have someone that you readily know, first you should, because as realtors, we want to be able to recommend those people to our clients. I want you to figure out from your lender or from your closing attorney, whoever it is, who should you work with as a financial advisor and as an accountant. And then there's some financial advisors that will specialize in different things. They will take only, they want you to have so much money. Some people are going to work with you more. I wanted someone that's going to be guiding you and telling you what to do, not someone that just once a year goes, oh, that's nice, right? They need to be guiding you just like you guys would a client through a purchase or a sale. They are there to help you build wealth. So, and then the accountant is there to tell you, you got to pay this. We got to pay the quarterly. We got to do this. This is going to help you save some money in taxes. No, you can't deduct that. I love trying to deduct everything. You can't deduct everything, but I try. But I have people that I know, right? Especially now that I changed all my people after I found out what happened, that I can rely on, right? That are going to keep me out of trouble. But yet I did a whole meeting about a month ago, how much money I'll have at this point, how much do I need to save, how much is going to go here, where do I put this, how do I maximize this, at what age can I add this? Like, you've got to have those meetings. I need you guys to do that. Must happen. And then you meet with them regularly enough, and then you're running these forms. They're going to love you though, because in the end, especially the profit and loss, I can just send them off to my accountant, right? And they go, okay, I see that. They're the ones that are going to tell you salary, no salary, all of those things, right? Where you should put your money, when. So you guys need to do that. Must happen. What other questions you guys have for me?
Well, I'd like to ask another question, but it could be for my soon to be found financial advisor.
That's okay. If I believe me, I'm not one. So if I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, open the ZYX. You're not, I'm going to be like, you call them, but you could, let's see.
Okay, so I'm not an S corp yet. I want to do that, but I hadn't thought about the IRA. So I have 3 different like Roth, IRA, self-employed. So what should happen? Like what happened to the IRAs? And once I become an S corp, then what do I do with the IRAs?
So now I have a 401k, and don't quote me. Like my SEP, I couldn't do. Like your self-employment is SEP. Now to me, I'm a realtor who's self-employed. So it never crossed my mind, but I'm an S corp, I get it. But I was like, I'm self-employed. And they were like, you're not self-employed. I'm like, what are you kidding? Yeah. So I want you to make sure, should you be an LLC or should you be an S corp? They are different. How you run it is different. And then they're going to tell you, right? Like you collect a salary so you can do a 401k. There's going to be all of these things, but I'm not going to tell you which one. You're going to say, I have this, this is how I run my business. And they're going to say, okay, if you do an LLC, these are the rules and regulations, and you can contribute here. If you do an S corp, you can do here. Some of them might tell you to stay an individual and just have a large insurance. Like I'm hoping you all have, do you all have umbrella insurance and like massive insurance? You guys better have a lot of insurance, because anyone would love to see you, because as soon as you tell them you're in the $1 million club, they think you make $1 million. So you need to have mass insurance, right? You should have pretty big umbrella, policies and everything else. So that's something they should work with you on too. But I would talk to them because they should be able to lay out, and each person's different. Like Ruthie, maybe you should be one and Carol should be different because of how their business is run, right? So it's not even just I make this much money or whatever it is. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, but this is the smart way. You guys got to protect yourselves for sure. Okay. Anything else? Everyone good? Okay. Now listen, it's a trial and error thing. So when you're filling these out, I want you to really pay attention to this. I want the basics filled in. The research I can't do for you, right? So that means going in your business accounts, or for the people that money is all over, you might have to go into this check card, this credit card, this bank account, and kind of create your story. Then you need to take the time and do it. And then we need to fix you that we're going out of the right accounts. You're going to be filling out these forms the best you can. They're not going to be perfect. I'm going to be reminding you of things, but we're both, when you have to do this, again, it becomes either like yay or woof. And that's what we need. We need to experience that, and we need to really work through it, and we need to make plans to fix it. So a lot of people are in places that, look, you don't know my story. You do. I was in massive debt when I got into coaching in 2008, like massive, like $140,000 massive debt, market going down, right? Not good. And it took me about 4 years to pay that off. But I put, my coach put me on a plan, and I just chunked it slowly but surely until I dug my way out of it. So for those of you that got to figure it out, time is now, right? It ain't going to get better. That I can promise you. The IRS does not get nicer. I can assure you. Once they find, and they're going to find you, right? Because I have a lot of people that are like, well, they haven't said anything. I'm like, ooh, they didn't forget you. So, and again, it's easier sometimes to sort of put it off. We got to get it right in front of us and deal with it every month. That's what we're going to do. Okay. And I'm here to help you. And Jim Reed is like the god of this stuff. So he certainly can help us. He has been doing this for years as well. Robin, we've got a lot of great people that can give us advice. So the more honest you are, and that's what I'll tell you too, be brutally honest. If it's ugly, then we fix it. But I'd rather you tell the truth and reach out to people and go, dudes, I need help. Right, than just kind of sit in it. Okay.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, so Rebecca will get a recording to everyone, and you guys can look at it, keep practicing. When you turn them into me, if you have a question, big circle, I don't get it, or what do I do here, and please reach out to financial advisor, accountant. Let's get started with them. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.